Okay, here's the procedure for testing the CPU board and interface board on the Melco EMC10T embroidery machine. It also applies to the EMC10T CE, single head 10 needle white head. So the first thing we're going to do is check voltages, and we need to make sure that all these three LEDs here are on. The first test pin on the I/O board or the interface board is ground. Then you have 5 volts, 15 volts, and 24 volts. So we're gonna take voltage measurements here to make sure they're up to level and on specs. Okay, the 5-volt line on the board, on the interface board or I/O board, should give us about 5.1 to 5.2 volts. So that's what it's supposed to be. Also, the green LED light's supposed to be on right here. So next voltage is 15 volts, the next one over. So we'll check the 15 next. All right, so we moved the red probe to the 15, and we left the black probe in the ground pin. So the 15 volt line is giving us positive 15 volts. So it's supposed to be within that range, 15 to maybe 15.1 or so. So that's a good measurement there. Next voltage is the 24 volt line on the board, and that should give you about 24 to 24.2 would be okay, the range. I have this meter on auto range, so it automatically selects the voltage. I'm using the A9 model 681 multimeter, which you could purchase on at Amazon. Now the CPU board, which is on the back, supposed to have all the LEDs on as well. Mainly all the red LEDs supposed to be on. The green LED may not be on. If it's not on, it's not in its head-up position, and in order for it to be in head-up position, the green light will be on. So this one's already been to the head timing, has cycled, and it's on its head timing position. So all the LEDs supposed to be on the CPU, which is the one on the back. That's the way to test if a CPU and an I/O board is functioning correctly. The other thing is on power up, the machine will beep one time. Normally that's a sign that the CPU and the I/O board is working fine. If you have no display, and it boots, then you may have a problem with your keyboard. But that's a good indication that your power supply is good, your CPU board is good, and your I/O or interface board is good. Next pin to the other side is the watchdog. I'm currently on the WD watchdog. I'm getting 3.6 volts on this particular machine. TA test point does not give me any voltage. It actually gives me a resistance of 152 ohms. It automatically detects resistance and not voltage. So the meter jumps to 150 ohms, which that's the typical resistance that pin should have. Next pin down is abbreviated TB. That one is giving me 140 ohms. So it's not displaying any type of voltage, just resistance. 140 ohms on that pin. The pin that's on the rear side on the CPU board, looking at it from the rear side, on the left side of the board, the very first pin test point, it gives me on this particular one 3.1 volts DC. and the one just next to it gives me an AC voltage of 2.5 volts AC. And I have my meter at auto range, so automatically detects AC voltage there. Um, uh, Different meters operate differently. I find this Anning to be a really good meter for starters, because it on automatic it automatically detects whether there's voltage there or not, whether it's AC DC. It automatically detects resistance or voltage, whether the machine's on or off. I know resistance shouldn't be tested with voltage on, but since this is an automatic meter, it will not affect anything on it. Measurements are taken on right after the machine boots. So I'm currently on this machine. I'm using an emulator, a USB emulator. I do sell these. You could go ahead and send me a private message, and I'll go ahead and give you pricing on these. Um, Having an emulator will boot your machine. You can run designs to it, and the machine will practically work as a standalone. So there's no need for a computer to run it. You won't need ENS or EDS software to run this machine. You could just run it out of the USB emulator flash drive. All right. There's also pins, test pins, test points on the CPU board on the back, next to the LED lights. The one closest to the green LED, the first pin there next to it should give you, first pin there should give you 5 volts, 5 volts DC. Next pin to that should give you 12 volts or near it, 11.58 on this one. That's DC. And then the next pin over to the left should give you 24 volts DC. Those are the first 3 top pins on the CPU board next to the LED lights. That's on the shorter CPU board. There's 2 versions of CPU boards on this model. There's the short version and there's the longer version. So this is the test for the shorter CPU board. As you can see, it's shorter than the interface or the I/O board. Okay, now we're gonna do a routine maintenance on this board. Most of the time, it fixes these machine problems. We're gonna go ahead and take these 2 boards out. They're in parallel, the CPU and the I/O board, and we're gonna clean the contacts on it. Most of the time, that fixes a lot of erratic problems, no display issues, or just random display characters. It causes all types of trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to the process of removing this and cleaning the contacts on each board. First thing you're going to do is take the emulator out, press the tab here, and then pull back. Then the data cable, just pull it out. Put the USB on the side. Take these 2 tabs, release them, pull the wire off. There's another one in here, inside. Pull the tabs out, pull the wire out. I already took the 2 screws that were there. So each board has a screw right there. You can see. So I've taken those 2 screws off. Next connector is this one. Press the tab, pull back. There. All right, now we're ready to take out the CPU board and the I/O board. I don't have 3 hands to do this, but the idea here is to pull here, grab the board, and pull out just slightly and jiggle it. That's down, that's off. And do the same thing for the IO board. Pull out and jiggle, or do one side and then do the other side. Okay, they're both have been released. Okay, now grab both of them. Be careful with this component here. That's a choke or a transformer. You don't want to break that. So, and make sure you don't move it because that could come off easily. So make sure that's inserted when you're gonna put it back. Otherwise, it could give you Z timeout errors. So, move it all the way to the right until it touches on the frame. Go up, okay, and lower the right side a little bit at an angle. It's a little tough to get these boards off. You just got to find a way to to kind of angle them at a certain way to get them out. So just be very patient. Don't rush it. I'm gonna need my both. I'm gonna need my second hand, so I won't be able to do this with one hand. So I'm gonna pause it real quick. Okay, let's do a little more testing here. The CPU board, the sorter board. We're gonna go ahead and test the 5-volt line and do a resistance check on it. Test point 1 supposed to be the ground, so you put your ground point there, which will say test point 1. Put your ground probe there with a clip, and then you're gonna go up ahead here where the LEDs are at. Next to the green LED, there's test point 4. Probe that with your red probe, and that should give you a resistance. Not much. It would give you, I'll tell you right now, it will give you about 1K. So that's about 1,000 ohms from ground to the 5-volt line, which is test point 4, the 5-volt line. And then test point 1 is ground below here. So that'll give you about 1K, 1.3K. You'll see the K on the top. That's 1,000 ohms. Anything lower, you have a short. You have a short on the circuit, and there's something not functioning correctly. For the IO board or interface board, let's do the same test on the 5-volt line to make sure the 5-volt line is not shorted. So ground, put your black probe on the ground next to your 3 LEDs. It's right here. It's the one furthest to the LEDs. That's your ground. And your 5-volt line will be right here. So put your red probe there and then check your resistance. So this particular one is giving me about 800 ohms. That's almost 1,000 ohms. So 800 ohms is what it should have. Anything lower could possibly be a short. So there's about 793 ohms there, or 0.793 kilo ohms. But if you round it off, it'll make it 793 ohms. That's the IO board, the interface board. I sell these Altera programmable logic devices. They do contain a program there. If any of those do short or they need replacement, they could come off and they could be replaced. I would highly recommend somebody that works on electronics to do that, though. There's 2 there, and then on the CPU board there's 1 here, and there's the EEPROM there, and then 3 motor microprocessors there that control their motor controls, I think. All right, next thing, we're gonna go ahead and clean those contacts, which are here. All those gold contacts, we're gonna clean them. These have been cleaned already. All right, so to use this contact cleaner by MG Chemicals, super contact cleaner, model cat number 801B. You can find it on Amazon. They're a little pricey, but it's worth cleaning them with this. You could also use an eraser, a pencil eraser, or a contact cleaner, another type of contact cleaner, which is a little cheaper than this one. But I highly recommend this one here. So shake the contact cleaner, and you're gonna take the top off, and then you're just gonna go ahead and press it down just a little bit so it could start bringing the liquid down out, and then go ahead and scan through the whole contacts right here. Just putting light pressure. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on there. Just light pressure, and just clean the contacts. Do that for both sides. So you're gonna do that side, and then you're gonna flip the board over. You're gonna flip the board over, and then do the other side. Okay, same thing with the CPU board. Flip it over. All right, that's that. Let it dry for, I'd say, maybe about 5 minutes. Go ahead and go to Walmart or Amazon, and they sell this electronic cleaner, contact cleaner spray from CRC. You're gonna use this to spray the contacts on the on the main machine, which is the contacts on the base, which are these right here. You could use the contact cleaner pen if you like, but I like using this spray better. It dries very quickly, so you don't have to spray too much. Just give it a spray here, spray there, and spray there. Okay? And that should do it. We assemble it the same way as we took it apart, and then see what the results are afterwards. Most of the time, that fixes these problems very easy. If any other measurements that you've taken are different, you may have a problem with the CPU board or the interface board. I do have another video of testing the power supply and the keyboard, so I have that in another listing. Thank you very much. I'll soon be making one for testing the encoder on the machine, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much.